Hello, Fanshawe. Today we're joined by Joe Bowen, aka Voice of the Leafs, radio TV guy for 30 years plus. Thanks for coming in today, Joe.
It's my pleasure, David. It's nice to be here. And I went to the University of Windsor and took a communication arts course there. We didn't have any of this kind of technical stuff to play around with and learn the industry. So it's a real pleasure being here.
Great. Well, thanks for coming. Can you tell us a little bit why you are here in the first place today?
A very lovely young lady by the name of Erin Pollitt I've worked with coming down here to do a golf tournament for Porsche of London with Ray Bradley. And ideally, I was supposed to work tonight. The Leafs are going to play the Philadelphia Flyers over at the new Budweiser Center, and all of a sudden, powers out of my control have that game being canceled. But she asked if I could come down and help out a little bit with the mentoring program, and I've known Larry Minnie for a number of years, and I said, yeah, I can come down and make a fool of myself in front of the students and ask some questions and have me answer some things, and so that's what we're here. And it's a great program, and I'm looking forward to meeting some of the students here today.
Is mentoring something that's very important to you? Did you have mentors growing up?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that it's a very important aspect because sometimes you don't realize who your mentors are. Obviously, your parents are very important in that regard. They got you here, they got you into school, and they're a driving force in getting you educated and into the workforce. But then you have friends, you have coaches, you have acquaintances, and hopefully you have somebody in the chosen field that you're involved in that can open a door or two and maybe be critical when they have to, and maybe provide some tough love when they have to as well. But it gets you grounded and gets you into the workforce and gets you becoming a viable broadcaster. And I certainly had a number of those growing up. In high school, I decided that I wanted to be a broadcaster. I wanted to do play-by-play, and I wanted to do the Toronto Maple Leafs. And so you're looking at somebody who has literally realized a dream. And I can't tell you how often I've sat upstairs either at the Maple Leaf Gardens or at the Air Canada Centre before a game and just said, you know, you are one lucky SOB, doing what you're doing and loving what you're doing and doing exactly what you had hoped to do when you went to university. So dreams are there to be realized, and mentors are a good part of making sure that you actually realize them.
So you mentioned luck. Would you attribute a lot of your success to luck?
Oh, absolutely. You kidding me? I'm the luckiest guy in the world. You know what? Being in the right place at the right time and having people help you. I was my dad's best friend was a fellow by the name of Bill Plant. He owned the TV and radio station in Sudbury, my hometown. I got to work there in the summer months when I was going to university. I got a job there when I graduated, not doing what I wanted to do. I wanted to do broadcasting, but I was in the promotion department, but my foot was in the door. And I got to move around. And a year later, the Sudbury Wolves needed a play-by-play man. I got to do that. And so it was, being in the right spot at the right time. I sent in an application and a tape to Telemedia Sports in Toronto after I'd worked 3 years in Halifax doing the American Hockey League. And for some inexplicable reason, they decided that they liked what they heard and offered me a job to come to Toronto, and I've been there 30 years.
So do you have any advice for students who are just starting out or maybe are not entirely sure what they want to do with their lives?
Well,
I see that a lot.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I get lots of people who are in programs like this asking for some advice. And again, that's going to be sort of a topic, too, that we're going to talk about mentorship, because that's what you're doing. The one thing that I always say is, and the best piece of advice I always got was, you have to be yourself. You can't be the next Danny Gallivan or the next Foster Hewitt. You have to be just the one Joe Bowen. You got to do things your way. You have to enjoy the voyage and enjoy the trip because it's fun. And this industry is fun to be in. And I think that you have to kind of show that, I think, in your broadcast and everything else. And I think the other thing is to be prepared. And you're not going to step right in and start doing games in the National Hockey League your first year out of Fanshawe College. You're going to have to maybe do something in the industry that you really, I don't want to do that, but you know what? I'm in the door. Right. And then it's a lot easier moving around to try and find something that's available while you're in the vacuum, if you will, of the station that you're working at, rather than trying to knock on the door and get a job. So that's my one big piece of advice. Get in the door, no matter what it is. and then make sure that you stay in the door.
So you have a very recognizable announcer's voice, to say the least.
Penetrates lead, yes.
How did you develop that? Was that something that just you were born with? Or?
I think born with. I was telling the story that after my dad passed away before I went to high school, we were down in Pennsylvania where my mother was from, and my aunt, after I was playing around with cousins, suggested to my mom that I could be a circus barker because my voice was so loud. That almost started an enormous row within the family. My mother was very upset, and years later I told my aunt, what I do really is a lot like being a circus barker anyway, so you weren't that far off the mark. So I think that the voice was something. My dad had a very loud voice. My 4 boys have very loud voices too, so the Bowen family is heard one way or the other, regardless whether you want to hear us or not.
Okay, so around this time, normally we're hoping to see some training camps going on with players. Do media guys have their own sort of training camps? You learn players' names?
Yes, Canadian Club is a very big part of our training staff. Well, no, not really, but you know what? You do. You start to gear up for the season in the month of August by doing your homework and paperwork. Lineups have changed, trades have been made, free agents have moved, and things of that nature. So you get your preparatory work going. There's really nothing that you can do that's going to duplicate doing a game. So you're kind of happy when the first preseason game comes around, and you're scared to death because you think, God, I hope I haven't forgotten how to do this. And so after they drop the puck and they get about 2 shifts in, you go, oh, no, I remember how to do this. And we're back sort of like riding the bicycle. But it's more the preparation and getting things that you have to do with the computer and with paperwork and things of that nature that you do in the off season to get ready. And then once it gets going, you get going. I have 4 sons, so I yell a lot at them during the summer. So my voice is always usually in pretty good shape.
One of my favorite parts about watching your broadcasts is before every game, you have some crazy new alliteration for the goaltenders. How do you come up with those?
The heroes of the hemp hut, the tenders of the twine tent. You know, it was funny. We were Tommy Watt was coaching the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I went up to him one day before a game, and I wanted to know who his starting goaltender was. And he said, well, the hero of the hemp hut tonight is so-and-so. And you know what? I thought, hey, that's kind of neat. So we got on the charter that night, and all of us media people sit in the back, and Harry Neal and I were sitting. So we started writing down some of these things. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to start using that before the game. So I would start using that. And now I have people mailing them in to me. I have a family, a lovely couple in Newfoundland who send me about 20 or 30 of these things a year. And I think I've got about 250 of them now. So I try not to reuse them throughout the course of the season and just kind of go as I go. But it's kind of fun, a little bit different.
Okay, so obviously you're well known for Holy Mackinac. Does it get annoying to have people come up to you all the time and
no, just
ask you to say that?
Just you.
Me?
Yeah, you become very annoying after that. No, you know what? It's something that, and I've told this story too, and I'll use it during our speech today. That my dad used it when I was growing up, and I'd be sitting on his lap, and we might be watching the Friday night fights on TV, or maybe a Leaf game, and something exciting would happen, and he would blurt out, "Holy Mackinac, did you see that?" And I never thought about it. I didn't use it through junior or American Hockey League. And about 5 years into doing games with the Leafs, there was a big save by Felix Potvin in the old Chicago Stadium. And I blurted it out. Holy Mackinac, what a save by Felix Potvin. And Bill Waters, who was doing color with me, almost fell off his chair laughing. And I said, you know what, if I got that rise out of him, I could use it again. And so I have. And sometimes I wish I hadn't, because I'll have my little 11-year-old play goal and somebody will score on him and a parent from the other team will blurt out, "Holy Mackinac, what a goal!" And I feel like going over there and maybe telling them that wasn't politically correct, but it was something that we do. But you know what? I use it for other things. I have a website called holymackinac.ca. We sell Holy Mackinac t-shirts for leukemia research. My son Sean, who's in this industry as well, had leukemia when he was a year old, and he's now 22 years of age and as big a house and as healthy as one. So some very good comes out of it as well.
Okay, so just some last rapid fire questions.
Oh, rapid fire questions.
The best kind of questions.
All right.
So
yes, I do look taller on radio. Oh, that wasn't one of the questions.
Favorite out of town arena?
The old Chicago Stadium. I love that old barn. The hair on the back of your head would come right up when they played the national anthem in there because it just reverberated around it. As far as a new rink, I think the Air Canada Centre is one of the best I've heard.
When the Maple Leaf Gardens closed down, they were giving away seats,
Yep.
other relics. Did you manage this?
Yes, I do. I had a gold and I have a blue.
Nice.
I got two of them.
What's the best Leafs game you've called in recent memory?
Game 7 of the series against the Detroit Red Wings in '93 when Nicky Borashevsky scored, because where I was situated in the press box, I had a better angle on the deflection where he just did tip the puck, and Bob Cole, who was doing the TV, was further down, and he thought Bob Rouse scored. I knew Nicky had touched it, and when you get a moment like that that's very important, if you're doing my job, you want to hope that you get it right. And I felt so bad for those guys from the Chicago Blackhawks when the Hawks won the Stanley Cup, when none of them realized the puck was in the net. And so you've got that glorious moment that you've dreamt about doing, and for Hawk fans it had been since the early 60s, and then it's, well, is it in, is it out? And it's, you've lost that moment, and that's really too bad because there isn't really a distinctive call that you could say, hey, that's something that I'll never forget.
And most importantly, do you think you could take Greg Millen in a game of road
Oh,
hockey?
please. The man couldn't stop a beach ball. I think we'd be fine, yeah. Millsy's a good guy. I've been very, very fortunate that I have worked with an awful lot of tremendous individuals. Harry Neal and Jim Ralph and Gord Stellick. And I've worked with Scotty Bowman and Jim Poplinski, and the list goes on of people who have done color with me. And it's been so much fun to work with them because they have great self-effacing senses of humor. You can poke fun at each other, and if somebody screws up, you don't just kind of let it go. You pound the guy and have fun with him because he's going to get you the next time. And they're obviously great hockey minds. So it's been a lot of fun working with all of them.
So your broadcast team, in a sense, is like a hockey team.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we have a lot of fun together. We travel together, eat together, go out and have the odd beverage together, but enjoy the time. And yeah, it's a different family, and I've been very fortunate to have some great people to work with.
Okay, great. Well, that's all the questions we have for today.
David, it's been a pleasure. You're going to be a great interviewer.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.